Yep, so we are ready to fire off with Formula One in the 2025 season. The season opening Australian Grand Prix takes place Sunday, March the 16th at midnight Eastern time. So obviously late night or super early morning for us over here. It's at the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit, and we each have thrown out a Formula One bet to lead off the year. Seth, we haven't heard from you in a minute. Let's go ahead and see what you got.
Yeah, I love a little F1 fuckery here. So I'm hammering down on Carlos Sainz Jr. minus 150 at BetRivers over Pierre Gasly. And F1 is so tough to bet, boys. Like, this is something you either have to, like, if you want to bet placement props, you either have to, like, invest in multiple to parlay yourself into somewhat of a drinkable number of juice. And to find Sainz Jr. minus 150 over Pierre Gasly, I thought this was one of the steals of the week. Sainz, defending winner of this race, qualified second, led 57 laps in the making. He will be making his Williams Racing debut in this one. Certainly a step down from that Ferrari equipment. He was busting around the track last year. But Sainz was also the fastest driver in preseason testing as well. And from what I hear from those F1 marks out there, that's pretty important. That's compared to Gasly's ninth fastest time there a couple weeks ago. And in races at Melbourne, where he hasn't been met with either mechanical issues or spun off, the Spaniard, he has finished at an average clip of 8.2 on the grid. That's compared to Gasly's 11.0 average finish when staying clean at races at Melbourne as well. Last season overall, Sainz 5.7 average finish. I get the downgraded equipment. I get that that's the concern, but I think he should still be good enough to beat Gasly, who had an average finish of 12.9 last season. And the head-to-head record for Gasly over Sainz, 4-19. So I'm going to think that's at least, coming back to a little bit, but I think Sainz still gets the best of him early in the season out in the great city of Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, so I was told that I'm not allowed to say Sainz is going to have a good day because I put him on the podium. Look, there's one thing that I know about Carlos Sainz is that he can drive the hell out of any equipment that he's in. And the fact that you're right, he was one of the better cars throughout this practice. I know Williams is a step down from Ferrari. I absolutely understand that. I get it. I'm not going to even sit here and say that if this were the last year with Logan Sargent or any of these guys that were driving these, they would be there. But this is Carlos Sainz. There's a reason why they got him into Williams equipment is because they believe that he can drive it better than anybody else has driven it before. So I agree with you 100% that he should finish better than Gasly. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people and put himself in position for a really, really solid finish. So I love this, Seth, and this is a good way to get in on it.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for Sainz getting stuck in a Williams car just because of how poorly they ran last year. But people are definitely higher on this. This kind of reminds me almost of like Kurt Busch going to Furniture Row Racing. It's like you get a guy who knows what he's doing coming into a team that needs some help and needs to get forward a little bit. And I do think Sainz is going to be that guy for Williams. Over Gasly makes a lot of sense. I feel like Williams and Alpine will be kind of on the same wavelength throughout the year, battling each other. And like you said, the defending race winner, it's a lot different than Ferrari equipment. And keep in mind, this was early in the year when Red Bull was still kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah,
Max Verstappen out very early in that race. The mechanical issue, Sainz led, I think, the rest of the way. So maybe a race where he wouldn't have ended up in victory lane if not for the mechanical issues on the Red Bull that day. But still a day where he ran pretty well. Still a track where he runs well. Definitely a big fan of this one.
Let's go, baby. Drink that juice. Rod, what do you got for us in the F1 markets?
Well, let's talk about little Max Verstappen. This was a bet that you would not have gotten at this number last year, and that's Red Bull double top 6 plus 130. It is not obviously you've got the McLarens that are juiced to high hell. You got Ferrari, you got Mercedes that are juiced. Red Bull this year plus top 30 for a double, or plus 130 for a double top 6. And I'll say it's because obviously Liam Lawson joining the group this year, taking Sergio Perez's place. But I don't know that it's that huge of an issue when you're talking about a 6th place finish for a Red Bull car. I mean, I know Sergio Perez struggled last year, but that's why he's not in this ride anymore. As for Max Verstappen, 2 of the last times that he's taken this track have not been a top 6 place since 2017. In 2017, it was a 5th place finish. 2018, 6th, 3rd, 18th, 1st. Obviously, he won in 2023. But then, like you said, had the mechanical issues, finished 19th last year, but he did start on the pole. So I know Max is worried about where this Red Bull team is heading, but I can't see it falling especially Max, falling out of the top 6 in the first race of the year when you've had all year to prepare. As for Liam Lawson, look, he's driven some pretty mid equipment, this Red Bull equipment, to some pretty decent finishes for that equipment. A 14th place at Losail, 16th at Vegas last year, 9th at Interlaken, and then a 9th at Austin at Coda as well. And again, this is like driving your Pinto into a garage with a bunch of, I don't know.
It's like driving the 78 car at Phoenix out there with maybe not quite that bad, but somewhere. I can't think of a good comp, but that's close enough comp.
We love you, BJ. We love you, bud.
Oh, no doubt. No, and I think, Rod, I'm glad you're on board with the Red Bull stuff too, because I feel like we both are going to make a lot of money early in the year on Max Verstappen, because I understand maybe Red Bull is a step behind McLaren, a step behind Ferrari, maybe even with Mercedes now. They have not fallen that far. Max Verstappen's a 4-time world champion for a reason. He's a guy that is he's just too good to run like garbage. And as long as Liam Lawson is on par, and I feel like, sometimes Checo, if he could finish the race, that was a victory for them. Max would be up there running top 3, top 4. Checo's battling for the point spot or has already crashed the damn thing. I feel like making that change, definitely a net positive, even if it takes Liam Lawson some time. Maybe he doesn't even win a race this year. Who knows? Who knows how good he really is? We'll really find out. But I know Max is definitely not going to go out quietly.
Love it. Elliot, what do you got for us here, man?
All right, so I feel like this is the perfect, most absurd way to end it. I'm taking Lance Stroll for a top 6 in this race. That is at plus 1,200 over at Bet365.
Not a bad number.
So when I was looking for an F1 bet, I was going to go on the other side. First driver to retire, driver to finish outside the point, something like that. And Lance Stroll was naturally my first place to go. This is a guy who at times has done some embarrassing shit. So there's a rain in the forecast this weekend. And the last time F1 raced in the rain was late last year in Brazil. Stroll spun out and crashed his car on the formation lap and was credited with a did not start. So this is a guy who's done some embarrassing shit. But you look at the stats in Australia.
They're good. They're really good.
I saw has been really good. The team finished P4 and P3 with Alonso ahead of Stroll here in 2023. And then 6th and 8th last year. That was Lance Stroll's best run of the year last year. 23, there were, I think, 7 or 8 cars that DNF'd or fell out. But that's still a good run for an Aston Martin. And last year, no major issues there other than Max's thing. And to still get a top 6 there, finished in the points a handful of times last year. Back in 2019, before the pandemic, before they took a couple of years off here, ran 9th with a team worse than this. I understand if you think top 6 is a little bit of a stretch for a guy like Stroll. To finish in the points, which is the top 10, is 3-1. I kind of like that number too, but I feel like once I looked into it, Aston Martin's run pretty well here. I feel like they're going to everyone wants to show out and run really well in the first race of the year. Give me Lance Stroll for a big gainer this weekend. Top 6 in the Aston Martin.
What do you think,
what
Rob?
I love about this is that when you look at the mix-up of everything that's gone on this season and the rookies that are now and starting this one, is like Behrman and all these guys that are coming in, Lawson that are coming in, and you look at what it used to be. It used to be the big 5, right? It used to be Aston Martin, Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, and then they threw an Aston Martin in there, and like now it still should be that, but if you put if you're saying, okay, look, maybe Red Bull doesn't get 2 in the top 6. Maybe my bet is screwed, right? That opens up a spot right there. Maybe Mercedes doesn't get both of their drivers now in the top 6, right? And Ferrari does and McLaren does. That opens up spots for guys like Aston Martin and Lance Stroll to get in there, because they were considered one of the big 5 manufacturers a couple of seasons ago when you were getting the best without the best 5. And I think you're still getting that now. So, yeah, I mean, Aston Martin's still clearly one of the tiers, the top tier drivers or teams in the paddock. So, yeah, I like this.
Hell yeah.
They're definitely mid-tier enough. There are no shit boxes, I feel like, even though Lance Stroll may make them look like that sometimes. But
yeah. Let us know down in the comments below, guys, your favorite F1 fuckery bets for the Australian Grand Prix. We want to hear from you.